If you use Zoom for teaching, you've likely gotten pretty good at the program, and then maybe you're also familiar with some of its limitations. I'm going to show you a slightly more advanced setup that I use that works a little bit better for me. It requires another bit of free software, but the added complexity at first becomes pretty straightforward and run of the mill as you use it more. So for this, I'm using my big iMac. Although when I do it at home, I actually have my laptop that I've connected to a couple of screens. You can set things up how you want. I have my iPad connected to the iMac, and I've got an Apple Pencil here that I really like. And I also have this Blue Yeti Nano microphone. You don't have to have an external mic. You can just use the internal one built in. But this cost me $100. I think I got it at Walmart. You can get it at Amazon or whatever. And there's obviously better mics too. This one's kind of nice because it has a switch, so you can change the pattern from cardioid to full pickup. Which I don't really do all that much, but it's got some nice settings. So this is OBS. This is a program that's freely available on the web. It's you can download it for free, and it's open source. It actually has a really large user base. It's used a lot by people who stream on Twitch. And other sources like that. And in fact, it's designed like it's got controls built in to like send it to a streaming service like Twitch. You can also use it to record, for YouTube videos and that kind of thing. We're actually not going to use those because it actually has a thing built in. If you go up to the Tools menu and choose Start Virtual Camera, and this is something you'll need to do each time you open OBS. What that does is it basically sends whatever you've got here to Zoom. So if I open up Zoom and I start a meeting, if I go down here to the video selection, I can select here, and you see this OBS virtual camera. And if I select that, it actually is going to connect. It's going to send whatever I've got here to Zoom. So we'll come back to that because we need to assemble something in OBS. So whatever I assemble here is going to be sent to Zoom. What I need to do, and first of all, I'm gonna just for distraction's sake, I'm gonna mute this. We're not going to use OBS's sound at all. I'll explain that in a moment, but you can ignore all the sound elements of OBS. This is just for the visuals. What I need to do is I need to add a source. And so what I do is I click on this plus. I'm going to go down here to Video Capture Device. And this is going to add a source in OBS that we can use in different places. I'm going to call this FaceTime Camera because it's going to be the camera that's connected, that's built into my iMac. And then I specify here what camera that's connected to. Here it is. And there I am. And I click OK, and now this has been added to my scene. And I might just take this and put it on the full screen. This scene that I'm building here, I'm going to control click and rename this to Full Me, which will make sense in a moment. But the nice thing is I can create multiple scenes. So I'm going to add another scene over here, and I'm going to name this iPad Inset Me, and that will also hopefully make sense in a moment. And I'm going to add sources to this one. So the first source I'm going to go to Video Capture Device again, and I'm going to add the one that I already put in, that FaceTime camera. But I'm going to make this small. I'm going to move it down here to the corner. And then I'm going to add another scene. I'm going to go to Video Capture Device again. And this one I'm going to call iPad and click OK. And as you probably saw, I can select my iPad screen here. And there it is. I've got it opened up to a program called GoodNotes that it's something I paid for, but it's basically just a drawing program that works pretty well for what I need it to do. I'm going to make this bigger. Kind of set it so that the viewable area is there. And since this is, I need to make this appear in front, so I'm going to take this and move it up. Basically, anything that's the higher on the list, the more forward it shows. And so I might resize that a little bit more, like so. And now this is going to be what's sent to Zoom. So if I open up Zoom again, you can see that I've got this. Now, in Zoom, it's automatically default to show you a mirror image. Your viewers are not seeing this. This is just because we're used to looking in a mirror. If you don't like that, and I don't, you can go up to Preferences in Zoom, go to Video, and turn off Mirror My Video. And then that automatically shows now what we're seeing in OBS. And the nice thing with this is there's a couple of nice things. So I can change in OBS, and it basically just shows what I'm doing in Zoom. I am not using the share screen functionality in Zoom. That if you're familiar with it, is a little bit, I don't know, I find it a little troubling because it kind of changes the whole interface of the program. When you share screen, your users, it might like flip them into full screen if they weren't in full screen. It kind of it takes that window of faces and puts it in this little inset thing. Like, I can understand where they're coming from, but it kind of just throws things off. And so this is nice because as far as Zoom is concerned, it's just seeing a camera. It's not doing any screen sharing. And so then whatever I do here is gonna change, and I can take my pen and draw on the screen for to act as a whiteboard, or show other stuff on there if I want. Then I can also do other things. So I actually have a Keynote presentation here, and Keynote, they made a nice change earlier this year so that now Keynote will let you play the slideshow on a window instead of taking over your whole screen. And so I might have this my Keynote presentation up here. So let's create another scene. I'm going to do Keynote inset me, and then I'm going to add. Oh, one thing is nice. I'm going to go here. I'm going to select this. Command C for copy. Go to my other scene. Command V for paste, and that just pastes that right in there, the same size and everything like that. And then let's do, I'm going to go to window capture here. I'm going to add a scene, or add a source to this scene. Go to window capture, and we're going to call this Keynote. And then I can select that window. It just basically shows all the windows on the screen currently. And there's my Keynote window. I'm going to make that bigger, and so now that I can do my little presentation here, which if you have an iPad, by the way, download Keynote onto your iPad, and up in the corner, I'll just show you since I've got my iPad up. Up in the corner of the Keynote app, once that loads up, up here in the corner next to where it says select, there's this little button for Keynote Remote. And in this case, actually, I need to switch devices, but it lets you find your device, and then basically gives you, if you're used to Keynote, if you use the presenters display, it basically gives you the presenters display on your iPad, and you can control things that way. So obviously that's not going to work right now because I don't have to set up, but that's okay. I'm going to switch back over to GoodNotes. And so yeah, then there's my presentation. Then maybe I'll do one more. I'll create another scene called Full Keynote. And now I'm going to take this Keynote, copy, go back to this scene, paste, and I'll make this full sized. So now for my class, I might start this way, and it looks, just like I'm just on the screen like you'd normally be in Zoom. And then I might say, oh, let's do, talk about some stuff, and then switch over to this Keynote presentation. By the way, if you notice, when I'm making those changes, it actually does a gentle fade, and you can set that. There are even other transitions that you can play with, but it just does a little fade in between those, so it's nice and gentle. And then maybe I'm doing part of the presentation and there's a video or something like that in there, then I might go to full Keynote for a little bit so they can focus on that and then come back in and talk about it some more. One last thing is, if you have sound in your presentation and you want to share that, go ahead and in Zoom, like I said, we're not using any sound in OBS, so don't worry about that. Don't let that concern you. Zoom is basically just picking up my voice with the internal mic, or the external mic in my case. And if I go to share screen here, click on advanced, click music or computer sound only, that will actually change, that will take whatever sound my computer is making. So for example, if I have audio or video in my Keynote presentation, and it'll pipe that directly into Zoom. It's not going to like play it and then go in through the microphone. It's going to be sent directly over, which is actually really helpful as far as being able to send a quality audio stream. I should mention too, you can add external cameras. For example, sometimes I'll have a camera set up here so that you can see what I'm playing on the piano, and then I might add that in as another source here, and then put a little piano cam like so. And then as far as playback, there's another little app called VMPK that you can download for free, and we'll see if this works. Now you could use GarageBand or something like that to basically give yourself sound for your MIDI keyboard that's played through your computer, rather than I could play my acoustic piano and they could hear it through the mic. But this way, VMPK basically just gives you a little keyboard. I'm going to turn off all the little, the view menu, and turn off all the little extra gadgets and whatnot. And wish me luck, because sometimes this thing is tricky, but yeah, it's not. There's some setting in here that you'll need to mess with. I think maybe it's in here. Restore defaults. Let's see if that works. When it's working, and it's obviously not working right now, this will actually let me create some sound. Like I said, you can just use GarageBand. If you can't get VMPK to work, then GarageBand, or if you have like Musical or Finale set up, something that would normally make sound, then if you play that, if you're making sound with your MIDI keyboard and it's coming through your computer, then that's going directly into the Zoom feed, rather than having it come through the microphone. So in my case, for oral skills or something like that, I want them to be able to hear a higher quality sound. But anyway, that's how I have my stuff set up for Zoom. You set this up in OBS, and it takes a minute to get it set up first and foremost. And if you have a different presentation, by the way, obviously I don't have the same presentation every day. So if I've got a different Keynote presentation, then sometimes what you'll need to do is click on that Keynote presentation, and then here in OBS you can quickly specify which window, so change it to the newer window. But then all these scenes and everything like that stay put. So then it's just a matter of every day when I go to class, I open up Zoom, I make sure my video is set to the OBS virtual camera. Actually, first I open OBS, I make sure the camera's started, and then when I open up Zoom, or before, I make sure my camera is set to OBS, and then it's off to the races. I can control stuff here and send it over through Zoom. Hopefully that is helpful for you all in kind of taking the next step with your Zoom teaching.